So what were you saying about so you're not for reparations or anything like that?
No, no, no. And I'm not even for the affirmative action the way it's implemented today. I'm much more for affirmative action purely on a sort of economic basis, like based off of income. It shouldn't be based off of race. I disagree with that premise. So I agree with you in some cases that these far left democratic policies like grabbing guns and stuff like that is just not a good idea, and reparations stuff like that.
So you
But I
just
think
but what type of stipulate? Because as of right now, people can stay years on things like welfare and cash assistance and things like that. So
yeah, so I think in terms of welfare, you shouldn't be able to stay on welfare for an unlimited amount of time. You need to have some proof that you're working and you have a job. But I think that the Democrats are doing more to try to increase wages for people in low income neighborhoods. And in terms of like the research I've done based off of the policies that they've proposed, I think that in general, Democrats' policies are a better way to raise wages for people in the African American community. And
yeah, but
I
you
think that if
but
you
what you're but how you're saying it, like it just goes against what's actually happening. You can say that, oh, we're trying to raise wages, but really what you're trying to do is you're trying to force the government to intervene inside of business and force them to pay what you want them to pay. That's not what liberty is. You know that, right?
yes, but I don't agree with the overall economic idea of this pure laissez-faire free market capitalism. I don't
So
agree
so
with
you
that.
agree that you're anti-liberty when it comes to like business.
I believe in capitalism and I believe in entrepreneurship, but I think businesses should be held
How is that
accountable. We need to,
capitalism?
capitalism is the freedom to start a business and be able to accomplish things like that.
And to
It's not
run
an
your
it,
business. And to
okay.
run your business.
There's this misconception. There's this misconception that capitalism means unfettered, no regulations, free market capitalism, which is
Oh
the
no, yeah,
theory proposed by libertarians. That's just wrong. You can have capitalism, but also have regulations within capitalism.
yeah. I mean, that's what we have.
Right, but then that wouldn't,
Yeah.
yeah, but sure, but also that, I mean, pure capitalism is kind of what you said, what libertarians believe. But what you're saying is that you would want, I mean, you just want more regulations in capitalism. It's not
I,
100% pure
I, I,
capitalism.
Amazon should not pay $0 in federal income taxes ever again.
I think that we could all learn something from Amazon and Jeff Bezos to make sure that we do
So,
not have to pay those damn taxes.
so are you mad that let's say they pay all those taxes, but they have to get rid of, I don't know, 20,000 jobs? Would that satisfy you?
They wouldn't have to do that. The reality is, in terms of the labor market and the way things are working, there's a range in which you could increase wages, raise taxes a little bit, raise corporate taxes a little bit, and entrepreneurship and unemployment would not be affected that much. That's the reality in terms of there's a range. Now,
So
the reason I'm not a socialist, and I don't support Bernie Sanders, is because I think he crosses that line where you would affect jobs and you would affect entrepreneurship. That's why I don't support a $15 minimum wage. But the research has shown, and like economic theory and studies have shown, that there's a range in which there's some leeway, because currently workers are not being compensated for what they're producing. Because
They
let's
are
look at
being compensated.
no, because
They
in a
had a
labor
contract. They had a contract saying that, look, I am agreeing to work here. You are agreeing to pay me this, and I agree that I'm going to take this money home. You can't then just say, well,
that
wait a minute, man. Now I don't
right.
like what I'm being paid now, and I didn't agree to this. You did agree to
That's
that.
that's not the point. The point is that companies have much more negotiating power than workers in a labor market, because in terms of the
Of course they
increasingly
do.
globalized society today, companies can outsource super easily. They can just hire people anywhere at
okay,
much lower wages. So
so,
these workers have to compromise much more than
so what
the
you
companies
saying?
have to
So you
compromise.
saying exactly what we're saying? They could just outsource. If we force a federal minimum wage, if we raise it, spike it up, they could just take the jobs and leave. If that is that what?
I'm not advocating for raising it to $15.
No,
There's a big reason for that.
I'm not saying raising the period. So I'm gonna tell you the issue with raising the period, and that was the issue back when it first started back in the 30s, 1930s. It's because Black Americans, only 17% of Black Americans in America have a 4-year degree,
Okay.
compared to 37% white. Like I think like 40% Asian, something like that, crazy like that. The higher you raise the cost of something, or the wage of something, the more you're gonna seek for those people that got higher reasons to be paid that, right? You're not gonna, if you had to pay a dude to sweep your floor, we'll say $10 an hour.
Yeah, that's
We'll say $10 an hour. If
okay.
you had to hire, if you had to pay him because it's a minimum wage, we had to pay him $10 an hour. And then you got this other person who can sweep the floors, but also can work on the snack machines and work on some other type of stuff. Are you gonna hire the person who can just sweep, or are you gonna hire the person that has some experience and background and a degree and something? that can probably offer more value. And this
Okay,
pretty much what's going to happen is it's going to value us out the market. And I don't want that because markets, one of my jobs, for example, we raise based on production and performance and things like that, which I think is fair. I think if everything was performance based, no one have no excuse, right? But mine is based on performance based. And we got people that's been there for 20 years. I'm making more than them. I've been on there for a year. And that's simply because I came in and said, what you need to do to make more. I did that, and I'm now making more. But and if you're paying somebody a minimum and they're going to get paid just regardless, what is the incentive for them to work harder?
I agree. But okay, so I'm assuming you guys are for no federal minimum wage.
No, I am personally. I'm for no federal minimum wage.
Yeah, no federal. Do you believe in increased rights for labor unions?
No. Increase the rights for labor unions?
Do you believe in the existence of labor unions having power in negotiating wages?
Labor unions have historically left out black people, minorities. Historically.
If we add inclusion and not leaving them out and giving them a voice, would you support? I would support a federal $0 federal minimum wage. Maybe if you gave more rights to labor unions, so that the negotiation between the companies and between the workers is a fair negotiation. They both have options. That's the whole thing. Right now.
So what would happen? So let's say that they can't come to an agreement, and so what happens? What does the labor union do to try? Are they forcing the business's hand? Like, what happens?
Well, so that's why I don't necessarily believe in a full-on massive rights for labor unions, because you know what they'll do? They'll strike, right? And that's a huge issue that you see in places like India and stuff like that. That's why I believe more in just I believe more in the idea of a minimum wage. Now, coming up with the right minimum wage, I think is tough. But I think it should be more, what you should do is at least adjust it for inflation. As the currency is inflated,
there shouldn't be any federal minimum wage because the federal government shouldn't have the power to do that anyway. If you're going to have a minimum wage, which I really don't even agree with, but I could get behind states. I mean, it's just give the power to the states to say that, look, they're going to have their minimum wage.
Each state adjusted according to inflation from 1980s. So
because we could say that the cost of living in New York is completely different than the cost of living in Alabama.
So,
you know what I mean?
So I agree with the premise that just a blanket federal minimum wage in every state
that's wild.
Is not
that's
a good
wild.
idea. But if you go state by state and make them adjusted for inflation, I think it could work. I think it could be a good idea.
Okay, but here's the thing also that a lot of people don't take into account. So, do you believe that say that here in Pennsylvania, I think minimum wage here is like $7.25 or something, like typical minimum wage, $7.25, and the cost of living here isn't really that bad. It's really not.
Okay.
So it's average. I'd say it's average. So okay, so these companies that have these minimum wage workers and all this other stuff. Okay, do you believe if they pass this law that said that the minimum wage, let's say $10, or I think like in inflation, like the estimates are somewhere around between $10 to $11 an hour is what the minimum wage should be. Okay, so let's say they push it up to $11 an hour. All right. Do you believe that these companies are just going to take that on the chin and they're just going to say, oh, okay, well, I guess I'm just going to lose this amount of money, or do you think that they're going to start cutting jobs?
That's what research shows. There's a very, very minimal, like next to no decrease in unemployment if you raise the minimum wage to $10, and there's a slight increase in real earnings.
Where do they get that info from?
This Congressional Budget Office study.
No, I get that, but how did they comprise that study? Like what companies did they see that did that?
I'm not entirely sure, but they conducted a study of the current minimum wage, a $10, a $12, and a $15, and what would happen.
Okay, but what I'm saying is that they can just say something could happen. I'm saying, like, where's the proof? Like, what company imposed this minimum wage and said that, okay, we're just going to take these losses? Like, which company?
Well, see, that's the issue that so many socialists and communists have, because
okay, so you don't. So I just want to be clear before we move on. Like, you don't know.
Companies are greedy. No, but the CBO is a reputable organization and has conducted a study and has found that
I get that, man. Leeway. I'm not saying that they're not reputable. Right, I'm only asking for like are we saying like this happened at Walmart? At like where did this happen?
I don't know if they surveyed individual companies, but the study shows that not many people would be unemployed. So it shows that, because the thing is, these companies still need labor. So okay, would they be
I'm not saying
willing
that they're
to
not going to need labor.
have
I'm saying they're probably going to cut a lot of the unnecessary, like quote unquote unnecessary jobs, and people that were even on the front line that they didn't need as many part timers or however many that they need. That they're going to cut some of these people.
Yeah.
Or there's only two things that's going to happen. First of all, they're not going to take, unless, now if you're saying that there's a study, that's fine. I would love to look at it, but as you just said, you don't know which company and we can't actually look at it. But anyway, it has to be one of two things. Either they're going to cut jobs, or they're going to raise the cost of whatever the product is.
The inflation idea. Yes, but so these studies also find that there would be an increase in real earnings. So even if cost is up, they would have more money to spend. That's the same argument that people use against a universal basic income, where they say, oh, if you're just giving money to these people, the prices will just go up by that exact same proportion.
I'm not saying that would happen with UBI.
I never said it.
Yeah, I never said that.
Right, but like this is like a lot of people bring up that argument, but this is like the same thing. It's not necessarily true that prices would go up by exactly the same amount or the same proportion as wages would go up.
I'm not saying that either. I'm not saying that either. I'm saying what I'm saying is, no matter if you want to take it from there, no matter if you want to take it from, okay, so the price will go up just marginally and then they cut a small amount of jobs. What I'm telling you is that can we agree that businesses are in it to make profit? Can we agree on that?
Yeah, that's
okay.
Yes.
Can we agree that these people don't want to make less money, they want to make more or the same at minimum?
Yes.
Okay, so then if we can agree on that, then why would you believe that?
Because they would be willing to make slightly less. Because they would be willing to. Because
you just told me that they're in it to make the same or more. You just said that. Now you're saying that they're in it to make less.
They're looking at the the pros and cons, right? So let's say you raise the minimum wage to $15, right? The reason why so many people would be unemployed is they're going to realize that by employing all of these people, what they're producing is not worth how much we're actually, the increase in how much we're paying them. But that's not entirely the case with a $2.50 increase in the minimum wage, because there isn't economic evidence to show that a $10 minimum wage would leave a ton of people unemployed. There just isn't.
Yeah, but the thing is that you can't even show me the evidence that it would.
But where's the evidence that it would? That's just a logical argument. But
can we agree that it is logical? You said it. You admitted it. I'm not putting words in your mouth. Did you not just say that businesses don't want to lose money?
Sort of argument. But economics has many more factors that
I understand. But logically, do you think that makes sense?
Inflation or this and that.
And also, like, if you can't even show me which companies did this, if you can't even show me which companies did this and show me the proof that this happened, well, hold on. If you can't even show me this, then what I would say is that how do we know it's not taken into other factors like this? So say that's something like at McDonald's where they raise it from 7 or 8 to 11, let's say, right? Now they may have not cut jobs because they cut jobs here, but now they have they implemented more let's say, those self-serve, type, like the kiosks and things like that. And now they have workers, and now they have workers that are creating those kiosks and servicing those kiosks. So, you know what I mean? Maybe it's just take here and then we build here. You know what I mean? So, like, if we can't say this is what's happening, right, I think that it's ignorant to talk about.
The thing is, right? When it comes to economic studies,
we have to talk about rationality then.
They're not going and surveying CEOs of companies being like, oh yeah, so if we did this, how many people would you unemploy? No.
So wait a minute. So what you're saying is that this was a survey? This was a survey.
No, it's not a survey. It's not a survey. I'm saying it's not a survey.
Okay,
what
not a survey.
What they're doing is they're constructing a.
My blood pressure just went up, man.
That would be incredibly stupid. That's my whole point. That's not what they're doing. They're constructing a rigorous mathematical model, looking at the cause and effect and a lot of computer programming, a lot of machine learning, whatever it is that's going into it, to look at the impact of a certain policy. That's the entire premise of economic research.
So would that proposed minimum wage, would that work in every state, or would that work in some?
Right. Was this just in like a certain area? Like what were the demographics?
So this was conducted as a federal minimum wage. So nationwide, what would happen? So
no, I get it, but did every state come into this survey and say this is what we would do in the state?
Oh, it wasn't a survey.
It wasn't a survey. It's an economic study. So they're constructing a model based off of the entire U.S.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's why I was asking. I didn't know how they did the study or not. So
Yeah, so it's like a full on. They construct an economic model, see what happens, stuff like that, and they're proposing ranges. So it's the statistics and stuff that go into it. Between this and this many workers will be unemployed on a given week. So if you look
were
at
you the one? Did you say your dad did the study?
no, oh, that's a completely different study. That was
Oh
that.
yeah, so you are that guy though.
Yes,
I just
because
remember seeing that video.
so he did he spent like because he's a professor of economics, right? So he did a study to see whether CEO pay has a relationship with firm value. So basically, in a nutshell, trying to figure out whether CEOs deserve how much they get paid, and he found that yes, they do. So I made a video kind of defending billionaires in a sense, and like how all these liberals say that billionaires don't deserve to exist and they're all horrible human beings. I said, well, CEOs are actually contributing quite a bit. So these liberals who say that CEOs don't work as hard as like fry cooks work harder than CEOs are just objectively wrong. And I was showing like that my dad did an economic study to see that CEOs do have a legitimate impact on a company. The study itself wasn't anything political. It was purely just an economic trying to see whether there was a relationship between the two. And I guess I made it political and people got mad about it, but it was like a legitimate like research paper.
Yeah.
That's funny.
It's cool. Yeah, I just remember seeing that video. I was like,
yeah. But yeah, that was me.
I remember I was like,
that's pretty dope, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
well,
yeah, I feel like, so you're not really Democrat then?
No, I am.
He votes Democrat.
Oh, okay.
I am Democrat. But I'm not, I'm by no means like a far left. And I would 100% admit to you right now, I feel marginalized.
Are you conservative, libertarian? What's your lean?
I'm liberal.
Socially? And economically?
Socially too.
And economically?
Yeah.
Okay.
But economically, I'd say I'm more centrist than I am socially. Because there are so many, economics is so complicated, right? These people just think that, oh, this policy will 100% work. And they don't realize that they may solve some problems, but they don't realize the problems that it creates, right? The new problems that come up as a result of socialism or communism or whatever it is. So,
right.
So,
no, absolutely.
And I don't agree with like Bernie Sanders' version of Medicare for all. I don't agree with free public college for everyone. I agree with free public college for people below a certain income level. The way like private institutions do it, where in terms of their financial aid packages, that's not necessary. That doesn't necessarily apply to public universities because they don't have the same level of endowment. So I think that we need to implement that across the board and have that same financial aid package.
Do you think that should come from the feds or the state?
If you just forced Amazon to start paying taxes, close tax loopholes.
We're not forcing businesses, man. Just you even saying that loopholes. Word is like it's like dragging nails on a chalkboard to me.
Just closing tax loopholes. People should at least like you.
Now you're trying to butter my butt, dude. It's still force. You're talking about force, right? That's what you really want, right? You want to force Amazon.
Do you believe nobody should have to pay taxes?
I believe that the government is corrupt. I believe that the government abuses taxes 100%. I'm not one of those people who says, hold on, I'm answering your question. I am not one of those people who believes that all taxation is theft. I believe that taxation is abused 100% by the government. So if there are companies that can get around paying taxes, then I actually salute them. Especially you have to look at And I would also say you would have to take the company by company as individual companies, because then you have to say, okay, well, let's say that Amazon got around paying these taxes. Did they make up for it in some way or form by giving back to their communities, by raising jobs, by doing whatever and whatever? Right? I think Amazon has just I think they've created something like 1 million jobs or something, right? I think like Amazon's created like 1 million jobs.
Amazon also
$575.
Yeah. Amazon is spending $7,000 a worker to do worker retraining. But if you made Amazon pay federal income taxes, they're not suddenly just going to like go bankrupt.
Well, I think that the IRS is completely unconstitutional, so I don't support the IRS. 100%. It goes against the original Constitution. 100%. So as soon as you say the IRS to me, I'm like shut down.
They're like the what you call the mob bosses that go up and
facts. They are legal. They are legal criminals. Like there's legal criminals, right?
Okay, but I think I would agree with your premise that some taxes go to just straight up corruption. You want an example? I'll give you an example of President Donald Trump. Right when he goes on his golf trips to Mar-a-Lago, he forces Secret Service members to pay out of their pocket to stay at his hotel and pay out of their pocket to rent a golf caddy to escort him around the golf course. And not only is he using taxpayer money to go on his trips, This is out of their pocket. Their salaries are coming from taxpayer money. That is wasted taxpayer money for no reason. He also forced Mike Pence. Mike Pence, when he had a meeting in Ireland or something, Trump forced him to stay at his Scotland he had a meeting in Scotland. Trump forced him to stay at his hotel in Ireland, fly to the meeting in Scotland, and then go back solely so Trump could make money off of it. That is taxpayer money going to absolute waste.
If that's true, and I'm not familiar with those cases, if that's true, I would say that I don't support that.
Yeah, that's taxpayer money just going to zero, nothing, waste.
But to be fair with his golf stuff, I mean, presidents do it anyway. And just because
he's not the first one. He's not the first one.
No, he can golf, but he golfs a lot more than other presidents do. He said when he was criticizing Obama for golf, the issue I have with Trump is, right, he criticizes people for doing things that he does. When he said Nancy Pelosi is a sick person for making fun of his weight, he fact shames people many, many, many times. Like this is not like you.
When did he ever fat shame somebody? I didn't ever see him fat shame somebody.
He said do you remember Alicia Machado?
No.
She basically she and Hillary Clinton partnered together in the 2016 election. Trump had called Alicia Machado. She was like a Miss America person. He called her Miss Piggy and said that she would eat the whole gymnasium. Like you can think it's funny, right? What I'm saying is, if Trump dishes it out, he has to be able to take it.
That's no, that's facts. That's facts. That's facts.
Yeah,
that is funny. That is funny.
He can't call somebody a human being with mental problems for making fun of his weight when he makes fun of other people's weight and says that it's a joke.
That's fine.
He has to take it as a joke too.
Right? I agree. I think
that's the whole thing.
Yo, he called her Miss Piggy.
He did.
Yeah.
He did.
No, he said and then the whole about the Rosie O'Donnell stuff, right?
No. I don't.
He said she was fat like a pig, and then Kim Kardashian's getting a little big.
This was when he was president.
No.
Oh, while he was running.
While he was running.
Oh shit! This was still because I didn't get into politics until right after that election. So during
a Republican debate, they were talking about him fat shaming, and he's like, only if it's Rosie O'Donnell, like something like that, right? But in addition, do you remember how he was just chastising Obama for golfing? He's like, I'm never going to golf in my presidency. He's wasted way more taxpayer money in his first 3 years than Obama wasted in 2 terms.
Hey man, I'm gonna tell you like this. It's called being a politician.
Yeah, man.
Hey guys, I would never do that. You see this? That's crazy.
Yeah, man. They all lie, man. They all lie. They all lie. Definitely.
You would agree that Trump says a lot of dumb shit, right?
Oh yeah.
I would agree that Trump says a lot of dumb shit, but I would say that I like a lot of what he says. I don't even support Trump, things. But I like a lot of what he says.
I hate him. I hate him with all of my heart. But there are certain things that he says that I found very funny. When he called Kim Jong-un Little Rocket Man, I died. That was really funny, right?
Dude, and to do that too, you gotta have some balls on you. You gotta do that. Yeah. You gotta have some balls.
But then he's like a little baby when it comes to reporters. Like, oh, that's such a nasty question you asked me for just asking him a question, right?
I agree that Trump is probably overly emotional when it comes to people attacking him.
He cannot take criticism.
He
dishes it out, but he can't take it at all. Nothing.
I'd agree. Topher, you agree with that?
I agree with that. I mean, I'm 100%, but that's not why I support Trump. So
of course.
Someone was like, "Oh, I support Trump because his personality and all that stuff and what he says." Absolutely not.
Personality means nothing to me when it comes to presidents. Not nothing because they have to talk to other world leaders, but it's not as big of a factor.
Yeah, I mean, but he still has other traits. I mean, he still is a billionaire, so there's still.
But he inherited a $250 million business. If he put his money in a trust fund, he'll be worth 4 times what he is today.
Shashank, let me also bring this up too, because you brought this up and Topher didn't actually say this when y'all were debating. So when you were talking about his thing when he the thing back in the 70s or something with the housing and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so for one, he was 25 or 26 years old. His father pretty much ran everything, not himself. I want to be very clear. Second, on top of that, he didn't actually none of them admitted to doing anything wrong. What they did do was they settled. That's not the same thing as saying, look, what I'm doing is wrong. It's just that I want to get this shit done and over with. I'll pay this money, make this shit is done and over with. But they didn't actually admit that what they did was racist, right? If you did, I didn't hear you say that, but if you look back at Trump for his entire, this dude dated a black chick too, but if you look back on his entire history, Trump isn't Trump isn't racist. Trump is
Trump is pro if you like me, and
no,
anti you hate.
not even that, not even that. Trump is pro success. So if
Yeah,
you are a successful person, which is why you see him in a lot of photos and even parties that he went to with like famous rappers back in like the early 90s and shit like that. Trump doesn't care if you are black, white, Mexican, Guatemalan, no matter what it is. He just wants you to be successful. So if you're successful in his eyes, then that's it. He's not actually racist.
I think Trump more. What motivates him? If
Money
you like him,
and success.
he likes you. If you
sure,
like him,
but that's everybody. Can we say that that's
if you
everybody?
Don't like him, he
Can we say that that's most people?
That's everybody, man.
Right, but the thing with Trump is, right, if we're talking about like the New York billionaires community, Trump is a laughing stock among that community. He's a joke.
All right,
like,
so now you're just attacking him personally, bro.
No, but what I'm saying is like it's not as if he was like well renowned among the community of successful people. That's not true. And in addition, the people who voted for him, right? It's not as if everybody who voted for him is super successful or a bunch of billionaires. I wouldn't agree with that.
No, I think that's why a lot of people vote for him, because they understand that he did something either to earn his money or to, at the very least, keep his money. So they like that, and they know that that's going to equate to the economy.
6 times.
What is he now?
Like he's a classic car salesman.
A lot of people come out and they'll tell you that, look, bankruptcy is also a strategic move. Right, it's a strategic move.
He's a classic con man. He's
a
classic car salesman.
I mean,
he's a classic car salesman.
Here's what I'll give you. Trump is brilliant at manipulating people. So, and I would say that in terms of hard work, he worked hard during that 2016.
You think that he's good at manipulating people? I'd say that he's bad at that. I'd say the Democrats are far better at manipulating people.
The number of people in my comments who just suck Trump's dick on like everything, anything he says. They're like, oh, he was just lashing out, getting Nancy Pelosi back for the comment. Like, no, he was whining about it. So everything, like, not a single thing where they can see that there's something wrong with Trump.
Bro, what's the slogan of the Democratic Party? Vote blue no matter who. What the hell is that shit about? Bro, that you talking about a cult, bro. That is a cult. Vote blue no matter who.
90% of Republicans voted for Trump in 2016. The Republican Party has so much more unity than the Democratic Party does. Do you see the reason why the Democrats have that slogan, vote blue no matter who, is they want to achieve what the Republicans have already achieved. The Republican Party has so much unity, and they'll just band behind any candidate because they have an R next to their name. The Democratic Party cannot seem to do that, as you can clearly see with all these leftists and Bernie supporters who are hating on Joe Biden more than they hate on Trump.
You do know that Trump had no chances of winning when that first came around, right?
I never thought he was going to win at all.
No one took him seriously. No one in the Republican Party.
Yes,
no one did.
I thought it was a joke.
Going up against Clinton, dude, who's got years of unsuccessful, but still years of political experience.
The worst political candidate to run in modern American history. She's hated. Democrats and Republicans hate her.
Yeah, but she carries hot sauce in her bag.
Come on, man.
Okay. So Tyler, tell me. So tell me why you're not voting Trump. What do you not like about him?
I'm a constitutionalist, man. So I'm what most Republicans would look at me as an idealist or a purist or something like that. But so I'm part of the Constitution Party, which is the second largest conservative party. You got the Republican Party, Conservative Party is right behind. But very clear, not the same. I mean, the Republican Party has like 30 million members, and we have like 100,000. So we're very small, but we're still the second largest. So we don't vote Republican, Democrat. We typically would vote either Constitution Party or Libertarian because we want to dismantle the two-party system.
So I'm assuming your goal is to get like one of those third parties to get like 5% of the vote.
Correct. Honestly, I would love for it to be my party, but really any party, even if the Green Party that I don't even agree with, just so that voters can see.
So you just don't want the two-party system.
Right, just so voters can see, shit, there's another party. Most people don't even know.
Yeah. So I think that's my entire objective on so many of my videos is trying to get people like you, like the same type of ideology but on the left, to like align with the two-party system in this election and vote blue. That's what I'm trying to get them to do.
Oh my God!
Like that's my.
So you want to increase the two-party system?
No. I'm not saying that. I'm saying in this particular election, if these people truly care about what like the progressive movement,
Dude,
and
it's
all, I
always
think
this election. That's the same thing every 4 years.
no.
There's some catastrophe. There's some catastrophe. Both Democrats and Republicans do it. Right now,
I'll
Democrats
tell
are
you what the
saying, guys,
catastrophe
if
is.
we
The
don't
two
do
main
this, there
catastrophes.
is going to be an alt-right, racist, Nazi in the White House. We have to vote blue. And then on the
two main
Republican side,
catastrophes
they
in
say
this
the
election.
same exact thing. They're like, guys, if we don't vote Republican, it's going to be socialism and we're going to be Venezuela.
No.
Like, it's the same shit.
The two main catastrophes in this election, unlike other elections, is number one, climate change, but number two, the Supreme Court could have a 7-2 Republican majority if Trump gets reelected. Because Ruth Bader Ginsburg and Breyer, like 81, 87 and 81 respectively.
I'm good
right?
with that.
So
Roe
these
v. Wade,
progressives,
baby, we're overturning that shit.
Right. But these progressives, they care a lot about Roe v. Wade, right? They care a lot about rights for labor unions. They care a lot about climate change. They care a lot about universal health care and mandating people buying health care, right? That's what their ideologies stand on. For those things to ever have a chance of getting passed in the next 3 or 4 decades, if the Supreme Court has a 7-2 majority, you could have AOC, you could have the greatest progressive of all time and wins every state.
Are you comparing AOC to the greatest progressive of all time?
No.
Okay.
In their eyes, they love
cool.
AOC, right?
That would have been a mistake.
Single thing passed. No, they wouldn't get anything passed. No matter who it is, no matter, you can have a Democratic majority, Republican majority, or a Democratic majority in the House and the Senate. They will not get things passed, and they really want to get passed. That's my thing.
I don't know if that's necessary. I don't know if that's necessarily true.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's necessarily true because Republicans in the Supreme Court vote against their party all the time.
I mean, like at the least, it's like 75% voting alongside Trump.
I mean, the whole point of the Supreme Court is to have people that's not swayed by Republicans.
Right. They could have been a Republican or Democrat. That doesn't mean that they can't look objectively.
Now. That's why it's such a big deal, because Democratic presidents will elect more liberal justices.
Let me ask you,
cases are beyond the scope of the Constitution at this point.
Well, you can't say that because even back when Roe versus Wade was passed, we didn't have as much scientific development as we have today. And a lot of that was built around the false ideology as well. So if we review that, given what we know now, do you think we would make the same decision back then?
Roe v. Wade? I don't know of the history of the justices, so I can't say.
I'm just saying we wouldn't. I mean, technology and everything, there's a lot of different things that are today that just we would not make the same decision. So that's all I'm saying. So,
but I think it's more of like a social issue. Like I just think people don't view a fetus as a person until a certain stage. That's the reason. That's the whole dispute.
The whole argument is personhood.
Yeah.
Right. So I don't know if they're going to overturn that. What I do know is that if they're just going to go up there with a bunch of lawyers, I think that they're going to get shot down quick. They need to go up there with embryologists and biologists. They need to go up there with a team, and not even just that. It's not even just the amount of people. Like, so when people say things like, "Oh, I'll quote the majority of the scientists and say that that's what they agree with," that to me doesn't matter as much as who are the people that are most reputable in that field, right? You can give me just one person or two people that are just the most reputable in that field based on their discoveries and so on and so forth. Bring those people in, and then you can overturn it.
I think even if Joe Biden is elected,
he's not going to be.
I think Roe v. Wade might still get reversed.
You think still?
Because currently there's a Republican majority. So the only hope is one of the more moderate justices, like maybe John Roberts, would vote with precedent and vote to uphold Roe v. Wade. But right now, there's technically a Republican majority, a 5-4 majority. So if you put Roe v. Wade in the Supreme Court right now, I think there's a good chance it gets reversed.
Just to be clear, overturning Roe v. Wade itself doesn't make abortion illegal.
Yeah,
that just means that it goes to the states, right? Yeah. Though I support then Republican states back.
But would you support overturning Roe v. Wade and then implementing something that just
federally
bans
illegal?
Abortion?
Federally illegal, 100%. Yeah, 100%. Okay. Yeah, that's me.
But yeah, overturning Roe v. Wade is just like the first step in the pro-life goals.
Right. States could still do whatever they want to do. You know what I mean? So, and I'm sure that there's going to be many states that will allow abortion.
Yeah, you know I think it was when they got ready to do it, it was like 17 states that already permitted it, something like that. So,
you're talking about back when Roe v. Wade was passed?
Yeah, back when it was passed. I think it was like legal in like 17 states already. So, of course, those states being California and other states.
Right. California at the very top. California ain't changed. But anyway, all right, cool. I'm gonna edit this thing so I can try and get this out. Hopefully I can still get this out by 11. Thank you guys for coming on.
Yep. Good talk.
Yeah, I'm gonna cut this up, man, and I'm gonna have this part as like the after show. I'll have it like maybe tomorrow or something. After the poll is done. But yeah, man, thank you guys for coming on. Y'all were great, and we'll talk later, guys.
Thank you. Bye.
So, yeah.